How would you evaluate Tommy's performance against Clemson? There's good moments, ups, downs. I guess that's what you think he did.
Sure. There's definitely ups and downs, and it's you see it across the offense and even just our team in general right now is the consistency of the execution. I mean, he's made some really good plays. He's made some wild plays in that game and throughout the season. But I mean, you guys saw it. I mean, there's plays that we absolutely have to make, whether it's a throw, a catch, a block, whatever that is. So continuing to just hone in on detail, focus is one play at a time, and it's got to go back to just the base fundamental of communication, alignment, assignment, technique of a play with a one-play mentality, and then you know what, you gotta reload the next play. Whatever happened that last play, you learn from it, but you gotta reload the next play and stack good plays on top of each other. So,
how does he do with? It seems like he plays with so much emotion. That could generally be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Are there times where he has to bring himself down, or you guys have to? I guess how do you balance that?
I think it's part of the maturity of a football team, part of the maturity of an individual, just in general. The difference between playing with emotion and being emotional, if that makes any sense. Football is a game where emotion is a critical component of, I mean, being happy, being sad, the fight, the anger, the laughter that comes with it. Like, it's not all negative connotation when it comes to emotion in this game. You have to have those things because it's a real game with ups and downs, and you're playing with your buddies. You know what I mean? That's the reality of it. It is a game, right? But those emotions, you can't have those swings of those ups and downs where it impacts people around you in a negative way. And there's times where, I mean, Tommy he's done a phenomenal job of taking accountability for at times when he feels like he could be better. And I got a lot of respect for him because that means that there's the opportunity for growth. And so that's the focus, continue to grow and get better with that.
We've got a few chances to see Kevin this year on Saturdays. What's he been like the other days of the week, and how's this season been for him?
Yeah, I mean, with Kevin, just as with any freshman, there's always a learning curve. He's been in game in situations that obviously have been more favorable, and then at the end of the Stanford game, I mean, it's one snap and you're in there trying to lead us down to go win. And he's a kid, he goes in the game, and the entire time he's in, we have full faith that he can go in and get the job done. And it starts with the way that he works out there, his preparation, the questions that he asks. He's smart enough to know that he doesn't know what he doesn't know, you know, and we'll kind of pick the brains of myself, Coach Malzahn, Coach Norvell, the other quarterbacks. He's a sponge. You know, so just developmentally for him, I'm pleased with how he's continued to progress. And to be honest with you, just a lot of freshmen, they hit a wall at some point. I mean, he's had ups and downs throughout his time here already, but I mean, he hasn't really just hit that wall, and you haven't seen that or felt that from him. I think it's the steadiness and consistency in his approach that helps with that.
With Tommy, and I know he's been playing at sometimes less than 100% this year, how does that kind of change the way that he wants to play, and kind of how you guys, you know, tell him, like, hey, you know, just be a little bit more careful when you're in that situation?
It's a two-way road when it comes to that, just because, I mean, the objective of a game, right, is to go out and be better and to win ultimately, right? With Tommy, just that inner competitor in him, like, he's going to want to go out and play the way that he plays and do the things that he can do. But at the same time, us as a staff, we have to be aware of that, moments of when we can run them, moments when we can't. So there's kind of a balancing act when it comes to that. And the reality of football too, and I tell our guys every year, first day of fall camp, guys, this is the best you're going to feel all year. You know, the one guarantee in football is you're going to get hurt at some point, whether that's just a ding or God forbid, something serious. But that is a real part of it. It's something that we have to factor and something that he's going to take into consideration.
With the last couple of road games, there's been a lot of yards, not the amount of points. I'm sure you guys want not enough to win. What is there a common denominator, something that the offense needs to get better at to score more?
I mean, finishing drives. It's finishing drives, finish down in the red zone. Obviously, we had the critical turnover early on in the game this past week. Sustaining drives. And, I mean, this is kind of a general football statement. It seems to be the truth in the NFL and in the college game, regardless of the style of offense. And that's, you get the drive started and you get that first down, the offense starts to run itself. And so just being able to be efficient on first and second down, put us in third and favorable situations, and then just being able to go out and execute in those clutch situations. And that falls back on trusting our training. On a 3rd and 3, you don't have to go out and do anything extraordinary to make that play. All you have to do is play within the system and play the play that's called, and then go out and execute. And like I said earlier, it starts with communication. It starts with alignment, stance, footwork, execution of the play. That play ends, reload, play the next play.
There are times in a game where you guys get a first down, a lot of times actually, and just rush to the line and snap it with like 32 on the play clock.
Yep.
It seems to me, and it might just be me, I might be not seeing it right, you aren't getting a lot out of that first down play when you're snapping it with 32, 33 on the play clock. And I was thinking about the game in Clemson specifically. It's like a 1-yard run.
Yep.
Are you guys getting what you want out of those plays, or just what is the purpose behind that? Is it leading to better things? That's
kind of the good and bad of being in pace and running tempo and offense, is that at times you're gonna allow the defense to play into what you don't want by accident at times, you know? So us as a staff, that's something that we continue to evaluate. How much do we need to keep our foot on the gas in those tempo or pace situations versus let the pitcher slow down, let us see it, and go out and execute, just get everything right, you know? And that's a balancing act. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's us or more than half the teams in the country now run some version of this offense, you know? And so that's where I would say 90% of those teams, if you look at their negatives, it comes off of a pace play, a tempo play, just because you're playing percentages sometimes to a degree. Sometimes you know what you're getting, and as you get a feel for how the coordinator's calling that game too. And so sometimes the defense just gets you. You know, you have a great call, you have it dialed up the way you want it dialed up, and you lose a one-on-one somewhere. Other times, it's something as simple as everything is executed up perfectly up until that point of attack when the ball's in the air, right? It could be an overthrow, it could be a drop, it could be quarterback at the top of his drop and not sustaining a block, right? Those are still situations where everything was good up until that point. So there's a lot that goes into that too, but I mean, you're 100% right. That is part of it, but at the same time, it's a pretty deadly weapon as well.
Going back to the Wake game, the fumble on Brock's passing play, is the process clean for him there? Is he holding it a little bit too long? Looked like it was an RPO deal. I'm not sure how quickly that's supposed to happen.
Yeah, there was another issue on the play. Quarterback made the right read, made the right decision. There was another issue on the play. We did not execute it, and it resulted in a negative.
We're dealing with Tommy's health. How much have you guys had to strike a balance between letting him be the guy we saw against Alabama and then not putting himself into jeopardy?
Yeah. Depends on the moment, but at the end of the day, like, we still have to take into consideration the person. You know, there's the human element of this game. You guys saw it with Jordan here too, you know. You got to be able to pick and choose your moments when you use them. And then it's also just the conversations of him and I on the side after. I mean, there's been a couple games where he's had scrambles and started to get close to the sideline. Just get out of bounds, man. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to take that extra hit, even if it's just a little shoulder to the side or something like that. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't play a contact position. So if he gets hit 5 times a game, those 5 hits are going to take more of a toll on his body than somebody that is knocking heads every single snap, you know? So part of that is awareness on his end, and the other piece of it is just awareness on our end, how we scheme things up, and what we can do to still put this team in position to win football games.
I think Saturday was like the 3rd game where you guys defer. You guys usually defer to the second half, but the opening drive for the opposition, they were on the field for, seems like 9-10 minutes.
Yep.
Your guys' first drive of the game doesn't come until like 45 minutes after you guys have done warming up. Is that affecting the way you guys are coming out the gates and maybe a feeling of tightness on the sideline for when they finally do get on the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's something to think about, but just like the reality of the middle eight in a game too. I mean, you could be on offense to end the first half, and you get the ball in the second half, you're doing the same thing to that offense coming back, I mean, it's the old deal, and Peyton Manning, Tom Brady days, you know what I mean? The Patriots are going to defer to keep Peyton Manning off the field, and that might be 8 minutes of football time, but like you just said, that could be 30, 45 minutes of real time right there. So I think just on our end, just continuing to control a controllable, let's get the guys together. Let's talk about what this next drive looks like. Let's talk about what we saw in the last drive. Quarterbacks, go throw a couple, make sure we stay loose. Centers, get some snaps. Do those things just to keep our players physically and mentally engaged in the game. And then the other piece of it too, like this is a team game. So be engaged too when the defense is on the field. It might be a big third down stop. They need our energy too. So that's part of it. It is a team game still. So
when you have a guy like Deuce that obviously has become Tommy's go-to guy, and he's such a playmaker every time he gets his hands on the ball, how do you strike that balance of you want to get the ball to your best players, but also maybe spreading it around a little bit, going elsewhere to maybe take coverages off of him?
Yep.
How do you find that as a quarterback?
There's the balance of having your security blanket, right? And then taking what the defense gives you, okay? If a defense, and we've played in plenty of games this year where we've gotten the opportunity to throw one-on-ones to Deuce, and you know what? I mean, I don't care who the receiver is, who the quarterback is. If you're getting a chance for a one-on-one opportunity, that's probably where you should go with the football. Run game, pass game, it's all about finding and isolating a one-on-one. Playing quarterback it's like playing point guard a little bit, You get your 3-on-1 fast break, make them wrong, get it to the open guy for the clear path to the hoop, And so there's part of that, just what's built in within the scheme. Also, it's something that we try and take into account. One, you want to try and get the ball to your playmakers as often as you can, or at least targets to them, opportunities. But then two, what do we have off of that can complement Deuce, that can complement the scheme, so that can complement the people and the scheme that we're running? How can we continue to grow that? So those are always things that we're looking at and evaluating.
Two more. Corey?
When Tommy is such a unique quarterback, when you're breaking down film with him, I assume it's different than other quarterbacks you've had maybe, where are you breaking down the running lanes too? Or like what he could have done on a run? Is that part of your job description there? Like, I know reading coverages and mechanics and all that, but just straight up, there's a hole there, run through it because you're a really good runner.
Sure.
Is that part of it too?
I think part of it, so a player like Tommy, you gotta walk the fine line of coaching the detail of the fundamental, the execution of the play, but also being out of the way enough to allow his natural ability to take over. Because at times, if you just overcoach some of those things, that's when guys freeze up and they don't play as fast as they can play. Now, with that being said, kind of to answer your initial question, like there's plenty of times we watch tape, and depending on scheme, what the front is doing, what the pressures look like, hey, this is most likely going to be your escape on this if you ever get flushed, or if you got a quarterback draw tagged onto the scheme, this is most likely where this ball is going to get to based off of where the slide or how things get blocked, how things get protected. So those are part of the conversations. There's always the initial awareness made of that. But when that ball is snapped, I mean, you got to trust that throughout the week that training has set its teeth, and you got to step back, get out of the way, and go let Tommy be Tommy too.
What about that scramble though? Sorry, Steven. Sorry, buddy. The scramble in the first, where they end up fumbling a couple plays later. He scrambles for like a 24-yard gain, goes out on the sideline. Mm-hmm. Tommy's such a unique athlete. He might be able to score right there if he cuts it back in. So you talk about the fine line between wanting him to get to the sideline, but that could have been 7 points if he cuts it back inside. How do you go about coaching that, or just?
No doubt. It's instinctual, it's feel. I mean, if he feels like that defender's pursuit is hard enough to the sideline where he can cut the inside shoulder and go score, he'll go score. I mean, he's one of the best runners at the quarterback position in college football. So I can't stand here and second guess his decisions he makes as a runner. But at the same time too, like understanding risk versus reward, at what point in the game is it the point where I need to lower my shoulder, go get the first down? Like, so to kind of counter that right there was a critical moment later in the game where in a 2nd and 2, right? And he scrambles and ends up out of bounds for a loss of 1. It ends up in 3rd and 3. Okay, now the difference between 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3 might not be huge, but it's still a yard. So when you're talking about a game that's a game built on inches, that's something where him just situationally right there, we can be better on. So that's something that we talked about, and I think it goes to situation, it goes to the player's ability, kind of the combination of the two, yeah.
Gus is very particular and demanding. Mike's very emotional guy. Both those guys wear their emotions on their sleeves. So, there has to feel that. I'm sure the team feels that. What do you try to do as your role as a quarterback's coach to maybe, I don't know, either offset that, be yourself, or try to mitigate that?
I don't know if I have to offset anything with Gus and Coach Miles and Coach Norvell. Yes, I know what you're asking. Like, is there the balance of good cop, bad cop a little bit? I mean, yes, but at the same time, the edge that those guys bring every day is unique to them, and our players know that that's unique to them, and it sets a standard and an expectation for how they're going to operate and what that standard and expectation is for the players to go out and execute. At the same time, for myself, and you guys have known me long enough at this point, like I try and stay pretty much in the middle. There's times when you guys have seen me get up, and there's times when you've seen me kind of reel it back in too. And I think that, and it's just kind of always been my philosophy on this is just being able to be that steady balance of both and genuinely who I am. There's not a whole lot of difference. I think our players can attest to this better than I can coming from my own mouth. But I mean, I'm not going to be drastically different from Monday to Tuesday to Thursday to Saturday to when it's walk through and pregame or 2-minute drill in the 4th quarter. So I think just on my end, for the same reasons why the emotion and the edge that Coach Norvell and Coach Malzahn show, my emotion and my edge is to be at times that calming factor, that clear communication of just, hey, this is what we got to do. This is how we're going to do it. Now let's go do it. And I think that's something, I guess, to answer your question. Yeah, I probably can balance things out a little bit, but everybody's unique to their own. So.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you all. Y'all have a great day. Stay warm.
You too. Thank you.